Hello guys, and this is our video review of Volume, Mike Bithell's new game. I'm Ben, as always, and I'm joined by Andy. How are we doing?
Hello, I'm not too bad.
Good. Right, now we've both had a chance to play Volume. I've been playing it on PC, and you've got a PS4 copy.
I have indeed.
To briefly sum it up, it's kind of a bit like the old Metal Gear Solid VR missions, with some puzzle solving involved as well. What do you think?
I really like it. I think as a follow up, certainly to Thomas Was Alone, it's incredibly ambitious, and the jump from that game to this one is remarkable. And I think Bithell and his team should be commended for the work that they've been able to pull on that. I mean, whereas Thomas Was Alone was obviously a fairly sort of straightforward puzzler with very, very simplistic but very effective visuals. Volume goes for quite a heavy, very star-laden voice cast, with some very interesting stealth-based but non-combative gameplay, and it kind of knocks it out of the park. I think the only place that I'd probably say I felt it was slightly lacking was probably almost in the story mode. Which, while it's certainly interesting, it's certainly very well acted and put together, it almost feels like an afterthought to the actual core stealth, level creation and sharing mechanic that's built into it. And I think that's kind of probably the most important factor, is the fact that there is this level editor, and you can build your own missions and share them online.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. In as much as the story, it almost seems quite throwaway. I know that's probably really dismissive, but what they've done is obviously they've kind of got a retelling of Robin Hood. But the story's told through the mission select menu, so you kind of don't pick up any semblance of story through what you're playing, and particularly if, like me initially, all I was doing was kind of hitting next to just jump straight to the next mission. It wasn't until I kind of stopped for a second and thought, oh, hang on, and stopped to read the story menus, where I was like, oh, crap, there's actually quite a lot of story here, and it's a strange story mechanic. I mean, obviously with with Thomas Was Alone, he had Danny Wallace in there, who returns in Volume, but it was the narration that drew a lot of people to the gameplay, or to the game in general. You've mentioned about the voice cast. I've got to say that the Danny Wallace character I thought was really well voiced, and I just kind of got the air of a panto villain from Andy Serkis's character. Andy
Serkis does panto villain well, though. I mean,
he does.
Going back to Heavenly Sword, I mean, that was possibly there was no virtual scenery left in that game by the time Andy Serkis had chewed his way through it.
I mean, I'm not saying it as a derogatory thing. It's just kind of one of those things where you look at it, you think it depends on the tone that they're going for. But
I mean, I think the tone of the game in general is fairly light-hearted, despite kind of the fairly detailed and serious visuals. There is a fairly light-hearted tone to the game, like flushing toilets to distract guards and such like, and it's that kind of very dry British wit that the script for Thomas Was Alone, and again Danny Wallace's delivery brings to the game.
Yeah, I think the underlying thing that we both kind of missed off as of now is the main character, Rob's voiceover. To me, it doesn't really work. It sounds a bit, I don't want to be harsh on the guy, because he's obviously put a lot of work into it. But it does seem like it's kind of just read off a script, and it's quite obvious that he's not got a huge amount of voiceover acting work in his back catalogue. So it seems a bit flat, and it seems a little bit out of place.
I've heard worse.
Yeah, I mean, I've well, I think everybody's heard worse, but it's not the best, and I think the inclusion of Charlie McDonnell, it plays well into the theme of the game. Let's just put it that way. With the Robin Hood story essentially being played out in this virtual world where It's a bit like, it's kind of like the Matrix in a way, where you've got somebody in a room and they're going into this virtual world, and they've got virtualized maps of rich people's homes where they kind of go through the map and try and steal from the rich to give to the poor kind of thing. And it's all being live streamed on the internet. So there's obviously that element of, you know, having Charlie Is So Cool Likes character in there, because he is a massive YouTuber. So
absolutely,
that's understandable, but I just think there's something missing in his performance. I've actually finished the story of the game. There's 100 missions, or there's 100 puzzles in total, so it's quite easy to keep a track of your percentage completion. As you've mentioned as well, there is quite a hefty level editor, and there are levels that have been shared by the community, and also levels that have been picked by the development team as well to kind of help them stand out. Have you had much of a chance to play around with those at all? Or?
I haven't yet. No, I've been plugging away at the main story missions.
It's simple to use. The thing that I think a lot of people have mentioned about the PC version is that it doesn't support a keyboard and mouse in a sensible way. It's very much designed around a gamepad, where you kind of select one square at a time, drag it out to make a line, rather than you know, drag it out to make a square and sort of fill bits in. But it's fine. It's the level editor that was actually used to design all of the levels within the game, which I think is a really nice touch, because you can see what can be accomplished within the game. I kind of felt that there wasn't a huge amount of a challenge until kind of the very, very last few levels. There was a couple of little head scratches, but other than that, it was very much a case of, you know, okay, I failed at it once, I'm not 100% sure what I've done wrong. And then you take a couple of seconds to, you know, focus yourself and compose yourself, and you look at it, you go, oh yeah, that's what I did, and then kind of immediately turn it around and go through the game. But I mean, in general, I really, really like it. I think I think you know, it's a fantastic follow-up to Thomas Was Alone. The art style in itself, as you've said, it's a massive departure, but at the same time, it's keeping that.
It is, it's still very primary shapes and sort of bold colours.
And they do make reference to that in the game, where they say, oh, you know, I can render something in 256 colours, I think it is, 16,000 colours, and it's like, okay, well, you know, modern systems can do millions of colours and blah blah blah, but that's quite. It's a very striking look, and I mean, I love the way that at the start of the level you get the all the triangles come in and you know, map out the entire area that you've got to play through, and it's a really nice visual feel. As I said at the start, the references to Metal Gear Solid are on their sleeve, shall we say.
It's interesting, obviously, that it's coming out so close to the launch of Metal Gear Solid 5, isn't it?
It is. I know.
And ironically as well, it's got elements of another one of the upcoming big releases of Mario Maker on the Wii U.
Yes,
it's very focused on user-created content.
Yeah, and I think that's to its strength as well. I mean, just sort of going back to I briefly mentioned to Asim about, you know, you're going to give Volume Goes out. No, I'm just going to nail Metal Gear 5. So I was like, okay, you know, that's kind of fair. But as a quick game, I think I've gotten through it in about 6 hours. All of the story missions. I've dabbled with the level creation stuff. It's not something that I've played about with too much. But as I said, the fact that it's been used to create all of the stuff in the game is just fantastic. So there's going to be a huge amount of stuff that people can do. I've seen a couple of the user-created levels already, and some of them already are just you know, massive challenge compared to what's in the base game. And I hope it keeps it alive for a lot longer than it would do normally, because there are some incredibly creative people out there that will no doubt have tons and tons of levels to design. So
It's going to be interesting to see how the community develops around this. I think that's one of the strengths of, or where the strength of games like this lies, is just how much the community is going to embrace it. And I think with the reputation that Mike Bithell has, he's already got a huge following of people ready to offer their expertise to preserving the longevity of this, and that can only be good.
Yeah, and absolutely with it being released on the PS4 and on PC, I don't know if they've kind of pulled together the created levels, but I would strongly suspect that there's a server somewhere that will sort of distribute those across both platforms. The Vita version is coming, but that's been delayed. But I mean, on the whole, I really enjoyed the game. I think it's as a bit of a fun stealth puzzler. It's it's not unique by any means, but it's done well, and I think that's been that's something that I've really appreciated.
Definitely.
They've been quick to patch things out already as well. As of the time of recording this, I think there's already been a couple of patches which address a couple of balance issues. The one thing that I would sort of criticise, besides the voice acting, as I say, is it almost seems a little bit too easy to kind of cheat the AI. You can get yourself seen by an enemy and then run through a checkpoint and then get killed. And when you run through the checkpoint, when you respawn, you keep
respawn
everything
back at the checkpoint.
You obviously respawn back at the checkpoint, but you keep everything that you've already gotten in the level, but the enemy's also reset. So if there's a point where you think, I need to get those gems, but I'm going to get killed, you kind of
can just
run
spam
through
it.
Yeah.
It would almost be better to switch off the checkpoints when you get spotted.
Yes, that's one way of potentially looking at it, and I think one of the other ways would be as well that there doesn't seem to be any time penalties for things like respawning the checkpoints and getting spotted. And I think getting spotted is one of the things where in a stealth game like this you need to make there be there needs to be some sort of punishment for it. That's the thing that I've kind of found that's not there. Even if they added a 5-second penalty to the end of your score or something like that every time you got spotted, I think that would encourage players to play it a bit more in the way it was intended, if you like.
It would also help going forwards with community-based levels, things like speed runs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. With the with the time, the sort of time attack nature of the game, when you finish every mission, you've got a leaderboard straight away, so you can jump back into it and try and best everyone's times. And I think with the way that it's set up at the moment, when you don't have that penalty, you don't have that urgency to kind of make sure you run through it stealthily. It's a little bit strange. I found it quite odd that that's not been included, but who knows? If the leaderboards get skewed to the point where people can't just cannot beat any more times, then maybe it'll be introduced and times amended accordingly. But
one of the other things that we've not touched on within the aesthetics of the game, which I think deserves a good mention, is David Howston's soundtrack.
Yes, I was just about to say the soundtrack. The soundtrack is fantastic.
It reminded me a great deal of the soundtrack for Deus Ex: Human Revolution.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got that like mechanical,
sweeping
organic,
orchestral electronic tones. It's stunning, really good.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of got into my head, which I'm slightly regretting now because I can't get it out. Towards the end of the game, you start getting there's a theme that comes in towards I think it must be the last few levels, and the chord progression and the key is exactly the same as Get Lucky by Daft Punk. It's slowed down quite a lot, but I just couldn't get that out of my head for a while, and it's I mean, that aside, like the soundtrack's fantastic, and when you get spotted, it doesn't have that typical Metal Gear vroom sound. It's just got this immediate crash.
It ramps it up.
It's just got this huge crash, and it just it's suddenly get this tension come in. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I got spotted, I had headphones on, scared the shit out of me.
You do just want to run.
Yeah, okay. And it does make me jump sometimes, even now when I get not expecting it. You can just see the edge of the vision cone, and you just creep into it. But on the whole, I think we can pretty much say that Volume gets our approval.
Definitely.
The written review should hopefully be up with this. If not, it'll be up very shortly afterwards. And that's it. Keep your eyes open for more stuff from us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.